The Last of Us 2 has proven to be a very divisive game, and I can kind of see why, but I'm of the opinion it's still a very good game and still worth playing through. Possibly not worth full price, because I'm not really sure on replay value. I'm going to play through it again over the course of next week with a guide to get all the collectibles, get the platinum, and then honestly I don't really see myself playing it again for a couple of years, but that was much the same with the story of the first game as well. I've loaded up into an encounter in the first chapter of the game, one of the first ones you can select, where you're fighting off numerous clickers and infected, just to showcase some of the new gameplay mechanics of combat, because we don't want to talk too much about the story in a review. We do have to briefly talk about it, because a lot of people are already mad about it on the internet, but as it turns out, they were mostly overreacting over a list of spoiled stuff from a couple of weeks before release, and several which are not necessarily true or taken out of context. I enjoyed the story greatly. I think it does a good job of telling what it means to. A story about forgiveness. There's a lot of people who say this game is basically a misery simulator, and as far as I can tell, it's mostly revolved around the fact that you do horrendous things with horrendous people. Like, the graphics, the animations, the stuff you do in combat to people living and dead and dogs is gruesome, yes. But it's a video game, it's not real. And a lot of people seem to have difficulty with differentiating that. It's interesting the encounters don't put you in New Game Plus. That's fine. I think we're about to be detected here. Yep. So, clickers, if they get close, are a straight up one-hit kill to melee. So why we need to run away right now. We have one Molotov, so we're going to use that here. Much like the first game, you can disengage from enemies if you get far enough away and deal with stealth. And like the first game, you spend large chunks of the game with an AI companion.
Nope.
You can just redo encounters. Interesting. I thought I was going to drop you into the game from that point, but no, it just lets you redo the same fight multiple times to have fun with it. So yeah, let's talk about accessibility options, because this game has probably the best accessibility options I've ever seen. Like, if you're having a tough time with a game, there are a variety of custom controls you can put in that basically play the game for you. Like, you can have melee combos by just holding square. You can turn everything on to automatic, like you can tap R2 for your bow and arrow instead of having to hold it to fire. You can get a lock-on aim and adjust the strength and capabilities of it, including stuff like you're throwing weapons and that. And you have it automatically pick stuff up for you. You can have the entire game be magnified, or there's a high contrast display mode, which literally just shows everything in different color schemes for allies and friendlies. So turn that on, have a look at it when it comes on. There's motion sickness stuff. My own favourite stuff though is the combat accessibility. Like, if you turn on combat accessibility, you can essentially make the game play itself, which is great for letting everyone experience the story. Like, being able to make it so your allies cannot be grabbed by enemies and don't need to be saved. Enemies won't flank you. Enemies are practically blind, unable to hit you. You can just get away from attacks easily. Lying down makes you pretty much invisible to enemies. Or you can just turn on... You can just have slow motion any point you want. So let's... There's the high visibility mode, which shows you enemies quite clearly and distinctly against the backgrounds. I'll just turn on slow motion. Like, you can play the entire game like this if you want to. That's how friendly the game is at making it for you to be able to play.
And he's still moving. Nope.
So yeah, that kind of shows off the combat stuff. Yeah, that's kind of everything there is to show about it, really. I mean, you go through a lengthy story, taking you about 27 hours to beat. The combat is greatly improved over the first game. Honestly, the only thing that's missing really is the multiplayer. If you check out my YouTube channel, you see I uploaded a handful of videos of me playing the original game's factions multiplayer, and if that was in this, it'd make it an automatic day one buy. But although I enjoyed all 27 hours of me playing the game, like I don't see myself playing it again anytime soon to go through the story. Like it was a intense and affecting story, and while the gameplay is fun, I did play 27 hours over the course of a week, so I could probably do with taking a break from it. Like it is very tense, very scary. There is a lot of high tension combat throughout the course of the game, where you're struggling to make every bullet and every brick count. You can die very easily. And there's really no games that do this sort of thing like that. I mean, the closest analog to it is probably the Resident Evil series, but even they are a little bit more actiony, and you're a lot more invincible with your ability to just pause the game and take herbs in your inventory. But yeah, I definitely recommend everyone play this, especially if you've enjoyed the first game. I do think the story in the first game is a little better, and of course the first game having multiplayer makes it a better value purchase, but it's more of that. I mean, at this point, you've hopefully gotten a few of the Naughty Dog games for free on PS4, like the Uncharted collection being free in the summer, or you've played the original Last of Us, the other Uncharted games they've done. It's another one of those. And that's exactly what I expected, exactly what I got, exactly what I wanted. Hopefully they'll announce something for the faction stuff soon, so I can give them more money. But yeah, I'd say it's worth buying. Maybe wait on a sale, or see if you can borrow it from a friend first, because the replay value isn't the best, but what's there is good. That's all I gotta say about it.